welcome back to another incredible episode of Destination Morocco podcast. This is part 2 of dangerous scams to avoid in Morocco. We did part 1, so this is part number 2. And in this part, we're going to specifically talk about some confusion in terms of the description and also some scams that are really, really common and they're very hard to detect in Morocco, especially if you first time visiting, solo travel, female travel, and stuff like that. So, and this is regarding the unprofessional and unofficial tour companies, travel agencies, and the transportation companies, and also what it means to be a tour operator versus transportation company versus a travel agency offering group tours. So, Siham, we're gonna start with you first. This is a very touchy subject. Personally, it had affected our business, and it still does. And I'm sure you're in the same boat as well. And mainly the reason is because of prices, and also because these type of things in Morocco, especially in Marrakesh, are really, really not regulated by the authorities. So, Siham, if you would please give us some examples in terms of the population of these services and the areas where they are found, please. Siham.
Okay, thank you so much. So yeah, as you said, Astin, this is a very common problem that tourists will get. It's just getting so confused with many agencies around, different prices, and they never know what is the right thing, right?
Yeah.
So everybody visited Marrakesh and walking around the Medina, especially the oldest part of the city, we're gonna notice that numerous agencies, how they call themselves, travel company, travel agency, daily excursions, different names. It's just so many. Like in each street, in each single streets of Marrakesh, you're gonna find like 3 or 4. They are even more than
Oh,
the
wow.
stores, the grocery stores in
Oh, wow.
each street, which is like a bit weird. Like the question is, who is official, and how can we make a difference? Why everything looks like the same while the costs are quite different? And again, if we will compare all of them with a real official travel agency, why is it like so huge?
Yes. Yeah. The
And
gap
this
is
is,
huge. Yeah.
yes, yeah. So this really
Yeah.
affecting the work that someone do it by heart is doing to making sure of getting the best services for our visitors and the highest quality in terms of accommodations, restaurants, transportation, and so on. So the first thing that we're gonna notice is that many of them are around. Each has just a small store, sometimes of 1 or 2 meters square,
Oh, wow.
very small. Some of them don't even have a store,
Mm.
no office.
Oh,
Some
wow.
of them has just a sign. They are
Yeah.
just standing in the street, which
Yeah. I've
is
seen them in
funny.
the square. Yeah. Yeah. You see
Yeah.
the big sign, then they're standing next to it and
Mm-hmm.
offering you excursions. Yeah.
Yeah. And in some few restaurants, especially around the square, they are renting in front of the restaurant to those guys to put their signs.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, the office is the entry to that restaurant. He's getting a chair right there and the sign next to him with some few pictures of Morocco and start calling the people that walking around.
Yeah. There's a lot
Okay,
of foot traffic. Yeah.
excursions, yeah, excursions and calling, like very unprofessional. The cost never like clear. You don't have anything official. You don't
Yes.
have anything official, even a name.
Mm.
So all the thing is just offering you a very, very cheap excursions, day trips,
I see.
activities, or sometimes even tours.
Mm.
Here, especially, I'm going to specify and talk about the 3 days, famous 3 days Sahara tour.
Yes. Yeah. From
Because this is,
Marrakesh.
yes, from Marrakesh. Yeah, always from Marrakesh. It's so funny because you're gonna sometimes get the offer of a $50 tour to the desert, which is
Okay.
for 3 days. Yeah,
So $50 for the 3 days.
for the 3 days, including accommodations for 2 nights, breakfast for 2 nights, dinner for 2 nights, a camel ride in the desert as well, as transportation. Unbelievable.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So there we have to think. Just stop. Oh, think about it.
Yeah.
It's too good. So this trip, the least, if you're getting right quite medium accommodations, it's going to be at least a $700 or $800 per person, right? So
Yeah.
that's a huge difference.
Yes. So how are they able to offer those rates? This is number one. And have you been in one of those tours or excursions, 3 day or 4 day from Marrakesh to Merzouga or to the desert? And if you can share that experience with the audience, please, Siam.
Yeah, sure. So it happens to me that a couple of times, a few of my clients asked me about the program and budget for a Sahara tour. I was providing it, and then I heard from them that they found it much and quite cheaper around the square. And then I was asking like how much that was. So I started to hear. I mean, I'm talking about at least 4 years ago, when it just started. Now it's even getting worse.
Worse.
Now there are more, like maybe 6 times more than 4 years ago. It means it's working out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was curious. If I remember, it was like 3 years ago. I was curious to know how they managed that trips, like with that cost. You know, it's unbelievable. So I decided to go for a trip, to book a trip and go.
Through
So
those people. Yeah.
yes, with the group.
Okay.
Okay. So, of course, as I said, the cost is going to be at $50, $60, $70. That's the average. So very fast, I started to notice the stopping in each time in several places, most of them like restaurants or bazaars that sell things and all the way.
So is there a reason why they stop at restaurants and bazaars and stuff like that?
Yeah, if it's a meal time, there were a lot of breaks. Sometimes just would anyone use the toilet, cafe? When we get there, and I was asking about the cost, the toilet was always costing money. Even you get in a coffee, and it's always more than it must be, like 2 or 3 times. The coffee, the same thing. So everything was overpriced. The same for buying anything like a scarf or even a stone as a souvenir. Everything was costing quite more than must be. Same for restaurants.
Because when you say higher price, higher this, higher that, the next follow-up question that I have, is it because they're getting commission?
That definitely, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can sell tours at really, really ridiculously cheap prices because they know they're going to get a commission out of this gas station to use the restrooms. They're going to get a commission out of this coffee shop because they're going to stop, maybe a group, I don't know how many people in the group, they're going to buy some coffee. Whatever they buy, they're overcharged because that coffee shop has to pay commission to whoever is bringing that group to them.
Yes.
So now it's they're not spending $50, they're not spending $60. Now they're spending more, but they don't know it.
Yes. If anyone counted how much money would spend on that tour, it's going definitely be more than a $700 that a regular agency is going to ask for. That definitely more, in a horrible way. Why I say horrible? Because you're losing money in someone else's commissions, and the services you're getting is just the worst.
Bad service. Wow.
Yeah. If we're talking about restaurants, so these people, I'm taking you to the cheapest and the worst restaurants where you get the food, which is sometimes causing stomach problems and food poisoning
make you sick.
for travelers. They're often coming back with those problems. They don't care about any of these things, you know. All what they care about is getting commissions through those places, because the guests are going to pay 3 or 4 times more than the normal cost for a meal. It's in the middle of nowhere. They don't have even an option.
Exactly. Yes. And just to add to what you said, Siham, the menu switch is one of the common scams, and we talked about it last time when we did the live Q&A with Ted. Imagine yourself in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a local, I'm going to pay $70. You're a foreigner, you're a tourist, you're a traveler, you're
Hmm.
going to pay 240.
Yes,
It's
this I
just,
had
it's just,
also
yeah,
during that trip. I was
you
seeing
witnessed
that.
it. Mm,
Yes, yes, because when
mm,
I wanted to pay, the guy told me this. Told me, oh, that the cost was for the tourist. You're gonna pay only that.
mm. Wow.
Okay, so it was
Yeah.
clear that the cost
Yes.
weren't the same for everyone.
Yeah.
Let's talk also about the hotels used for those trips. We're talking about group trips. If you're paying that money, gonna get a minibus, like a van of at least a 17 to 20 seats, okay?
Yeah.
Not a car. So
Yeah.
in terms of comfort, it's the worst.
Mm.
And we
Okay.
are talking about a Sahara desert tour. It means you're crossing the high Atlas Mountains range. This is
Okay.
not an easy way.
Yes. So just to give the listeners a perspective and idea of when we talk about traveling from Marrakesh through the Atlas Mountains, through Tishka, Tizi and Tishka, which
Mhm.
is one of the,
Yeah.
I think it's the second worst pass
Yes.
in Morocco. It's really, really dangerous. Now they have expanded it. They made,
I mean, the
and the
road situation
construction,
is better, but
yeah,
but
for
but the
sure.
but the nature of the place, it's high, it's
Yes.
narrow, it's
Yeah.
it's curves.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
even in a comfortable car with a good professional driver, it's still a little hard.
Yes. Yeah.
So you imagine if taking that road with a van or with many people,
Yeah.
and drivers, most of them are not even nice.
Mm.
Almost of them don't speak any languages.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
the
Mm.
first thing that people get shocked with. It's the
Mm.
language. Stopping in any restaurant or a store. So he stops, rude, open the door. The guests never know what they
What?
have to do.
Mm.
If they
So
understood it's to eat or to go to the toilet, for example,
yeah.
they don't know what the average time, what should they do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. I got you. So
Everything is confusing.
basically, if somebody doesn't speak the language, it's very convenient for them because they don't have to explain the reasoning behind the stops, the reasoning because of the bad service, the
Mhm.
reasoning of the commission or the high prices. They don't have to justify anything. You
Yeah.
look at the driver and say, hey, he doesn't speak in English. There's nothing you can do. So all you have to do just go with the experience and be patient, hopefully. So the drive, in a nutshell, between Marrakesh and Merzouga, it's about 10 hours. So if you do in 3 days, it's if somebody tells you 3 days, 4 days, that's a red flag in itself. So, 10 hours and 10 hours back, that's 2 days without the stops. So you keep in mind, the stops, what are you going to stop? There's nothing for you to see if the drive is 10 hours. So day one is gone, day two is gone. It's just, you get to Mirzouga and you come back.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah,
you
yeah.
really do.
In Merzouga,
So,
it was a total of 5 hours.
oh, okay.
It
So
was the
now,
night. I was supposed to
mm,
sleep.
so the question that I have next, Siham, when you said the group, we have been in those vehicles. The vehicle that you mentioned in Morocco, they call them minibus. In the US, they are called sprinters, and a lot of them are Mercedes sprinters. But don't be fooled with the logo. It has nothing to do with whatever you see in the US. I'm just talking about the US market. I'm not familiar with any other market, but I'm talking about the US market. So the sprinters in the US, they are very comfortable, very nice, luxurious. But in Morocco, last summer we did a little bit of study. Me and Sam, we did quite a bit of study when it came to these vehicles, and we realized that all the sprinters in Morocco, they are built on a chassis that it's not really for sprinter, but it's a truck. It doesn't have independent suspension, so which means if you're sitting in the back, especially if sitting on top of those wheels in the back,
Hmm.
you're gonna feel every bump, you're gonna feel every
It's
pothole.
really
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
extremely
Really uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. So when you say the group, when you go and somebody tells you 50, 60, $70 for Merzouga trip for 3 days, to yourself, you're thinking, oh, wow, transportation is included, car and driver is included, breakfast is included, this is included. You'll automatically think that the room is always, it's also included. And you're going to be in a really, really nice, at least a premium camp in Merzouga, if not luxury, or that's how we think, with your own this and, everything is separate, everything is organized. Can you be a little bit more specific, Siham, and give us those details of people when you go in those tours, when you go with those trips, when those people, what should you expect?
Well, we already spoke about the conditions, like the car, about the
Yeah.
drivers, most of them. And I have also to mention that a lot of times, and one of them was the time when I was there. We were on the halfway in the middle of nowhere. It was July, which was super hot. So some few clients that were in the back of the van started to ask the driver to turn on the air conditioning in the van. Yeah,
This is like a
yeah.
100 degree Fahrenheit, over 100 degree Fahrenheit inside the vehicle. They're asking
Mhm.
for the air conditioning to be turned on. And what did the driver say?
He said that the costs that they paid include the transportation and that the petrol is getting more expensive. And
Hmm.
if he turns the air conditioning on, it's going to cost more. So there is an extra charge to turn it on. That
Oh,
was like a 10, yeah, it was like a 10, what he asked per person, at $10
$10
per person.
USD.
Yeah, there were like 17 people on the van. So
Hmm.
it's going to be counted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
$107. Wow.
yeah.
I never heard that one.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
for sure that being in that van with that heat, you're gonna
Yeah.
pay that.
Yeah,
You're
for
gonna
sure.
pay
Oh,
that, I swear.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So when you get to the desert, what happens?
Well, before getting to the desert, the first night supposed to be in the Dadis, the famous
That's,
Dadis
yes.
gorges. Yes. After all the day driving, I mean, passing by Ben Haddou Kasbah, and there is a very common stop scam, another scam too, because most of the agencies, agencies, I say agencies, they are not real agencies, but most of the people that sells those trips, they would also say that the guide in Ait Ben Haddou is included.
Oh, I see.
And then
Okay.
once the van arrived, there were a guide already waiting in a meeting point. So the
Hmm.
driver and that guide know each other and he knows
I
that
see.
he's arriving at that time. So when the group getting out, they automatically follow in that guide
Hmm.
because of course in their mind it's paid.
Yeah.
So he took us for the tour. I mean the explanation, it was very little. Getting back, we stopped in a store. I mean, he made us stop on that store. I mean, for him, I was a client, right?
Hmm.
So I believe that we had to buy those scarves. He called it like the Sahara passport.
I see.
That's something you have
Hmm.
to get to the Sahara because it's going to be windy, it's going to be sand and very hot. You have to protect your face and hair. So you buy from this one. It's the last store you will find it in the Sahara. You would regret if you don't have it, whatever it is. So everybody, almost everybody, bought a scarf, which was at least 3 times more expensive than
Oh, wow.
the normal. So of course, that beside lunch, I would say like 1,000% that that restaurant, of course, given a big commission
Commission.
to this, yes, for the lunch because it was not normal. The food wasn't really good. And then the first night we spent in the Dedis. The hotel was quite cheap. Some few members had to share the room with other members. Some of them weren't happy with that, but they had to do
Mm,
because they said like, well, it says that hotels are included, but it did not say it's going to be a private room.
I see.
So sometimes it was like 7, 8 people in the same room,
In
sharing
the
the
same
same
room.
room.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes, with
This is
one bathroom.
before getting to Merzouga. This is Dad's Valley.
Yes, that's the first night.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. 7 people in one room.
Yeah, sometimes a 4 or 5 depends of the. It's your luck.
So,
Yeah, and then
let's say,
if you
mhm,
wanted to get a private room, if you're a
that
couple or
okay.
something and don't feel comfortable to be with others, then they're gonna ask you for paying extra to get a private room. And the silly things that sometimes the room it's more expensive than the tour itself.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the first night. The second night, oh, even before the night, on the way between Dada's Gorges to Merzouga Gorges, there is another very important stop on a village. Then someone was waiting, as always, a guide. But I forgot to mention that the guide in Ben Haddo, at the end, he asked for payment.
Oh, okay. We forgot that.
So,
Yes.
yes, so some of the group were saying that the guy in the agency said that it was included, and then he said, no, I work for myself. I don't work for any agency, and you please pay me. So everybody paid the guide. Then the same thing in the Tudra gorges. The visit to the gorges was very, very, very fast.
Short.
Like it was very beautiful, but it was very fast. Just we have to go. Tot, 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 tot. Again, the group get in and got back in the van, and we drove like less than 6-7 minutes. And then they stopped in a village where a guide was waiting. So he said, oh, this is the guide. He's going to show you around, show you the farms, and you're going to be invited for a free tea with a Berber family. So we walked through some farms there, and then we go to a house. It was, for me, not a house. It was a house full of rugs. That was a
Oh, I
bazaar.
see. Bazaar.
A bazaar under the title of a local house.
Berber house or Berber family house.
Yes, that's the title. That's how they introduce it. And they said, okay, we can have some free tea here. You don't have to pay for. We'll come. We got in there. It was just full of rugs. I mean, all the way, all the stairs. We got upstairs. That was a big room full of rugs. Then suddenly this guy appeared to explain. He explained a little bit about the rugs and the difference and how they make it, how long time they stay. So it was actually quite long. And some few I remember a few of the group was wondering why, when we have that time, why we didn't spend in the gorges, because they liked it, but they had to go, and now they're just wasting that time with this is something they didn't even choose. So the explanation took like a long time. Then at the end, few of the group bought things, rugs. So I think all the story there, it's not about visiting a Berber family and getting free tea, but it's more to make people buy those rugs. And I am 100% sure that this guide given also the commission to the driver as well.
Okay.
So this is one thing I don't have to miss. And then back to the desert. It was about sunset. Everything was stressful. Everything
so you got there
was
late.
stressful.
You arrived late.
Yes, it was late. It was almost sunset. Hurry up, everything hurry up. And no one explained to you any word about what is coming next. No one know what to expect. Then some people brought those camels. We got on the camels. Then we went to the desert. It was like getting darker already. We arrived at the camp. It was already dark. Then the next story is the camp. The same story of the hotel in Dadis. But even worse, because there were like one bathroom for all the camp, no shower. After like 1.5 an hour camel ride in the Sahara desert, everybody like needed a shower with the sand all over our hair, our ears. Everybody needs to refresh, but no water.
Wow.
So after the first or two guests that took a shower, there were no more shower. No more water.
Wow.
Water, yes. So everybody was complaining, and I was hearing other people complaining about the tent, because the agency that sold them the trip promised them a private tent for only themselves, and now they have to share with another 3 people. And then the guy in the camp said like, oh, this is what I have. I don't have any more. If you want, I can take you to the camp of the neighbors, but it is blah, 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 which was like double of the cost of the... Yes, everything extras. Wow. And the cheapest extra was the cost of the tour, which is like so silly. And then when you are in the middle of that thing, you don't have a choice, I swear.
Yes.
You're unhappy with the food, you'll have to eat it. Otherwise, there is no, even a store, a grocery store, there is nothing. So you have to eat everything, you have to accept everything. No explanation, no guide, just crazy.
So, did anybody think to contact the agency that they booked with, or the guy standing in the middle of the street, or in front of the restaurant, or
I, they did. So some few ones didn't get any reply. Some few ones, someone answered. I said, "Oh, I was not the one who saw you this. Maybe it's
booked?
my colleague. Where is my colleague? There is no colleague. Some of the numbers weren't even working. Some few of numbers that they've got, they weren't working
Oh wow!
anymore. No names. They don't have no names. There is no official booking with any number, with any name. Few of them had the phone numbers. Some few of them weren't working anymore. Some few of them were just with someone talking about someone that never appeared.
Yeah,
So there were no responsibility. No
that
responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
too many
That
red
was the
flags. Yeah,
worst. That was the worst trip I've ever seen. I was feeling so sorry. I was feeling that those people are just destroying the image of Morocco, and they're gonna make all these 17 people or more hating that trip to the desert,
yeah.
hating Moroccans, hating the Sahara Desert. It was so painful to see this.
It's. I'm gonna add something. I mean, me and Sam, we go through this all the time. We get emails, we get appointments, we get phone calls, and we have the same thing. Oh, I found this exact same itinerary for this much. First of all, there's no exact same itinerary. It's just impossible unless you do copy paste to one itinerary. That's the only way that you'll have exact same itinerary. Every tour operator or agency or scam, they're all the same. So when somebody says that to me, then I try to really, really advise them, say, hey, go look online, do a little bit of research online, look for some reviews, look up the place. Basically, at the end, we look like we are the bad guys because we're trying to really educate them, trying to prevent something from happening to them and affecting their experience in the worst possible way. Your story, Siham, unfortunately, it's very common. I have many friends. We've heard so many stories. It's heartbreaking. You travel with a group of 17 people. Now somebody's sleeping on the floor. Most of them are on the floor, on top of
Mm-hmm.
rugs. The desert.
Mm-hmm.
July. There's scorpions. There's snakes.
Yeah.
It could be a health hazard. But people, when they think to go to Morocco, they don't think of a lot of this stuff that we think in the back. Behind the scene, what's going on. There's challenges. Every tour we are putting fire behind the scene, and the guests, the clients, they have no idea, and everything
Yeah.
looks exactly how they wanted it and even better than they expected it. But we have, because it's just Morocco, there's no system in place. You can have a booking, your booking is confirmed, you get there, there's no booking. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
just so many things.
It's very sad because few, maybe not few, but the majority of tourists, they only care about the cost. They're only
Yeah.
looking for good deals. They never think about the quality. I know they care. They think about the quality, but they don't expect or compare the prices or ask
Yes.
even the question why this product is quite cheaper than this one.
Yes. you
There we
know
have just to think about it.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
way that I
Yeah.
see it. Again, we are in the same boat, we're in the same industry. And when I mean, we qualify clients as well, and we ask questions, and we want to ask the right questions. If you're a price buyer, we're definitely not the ones for you. We sell
Yes.
experiences, and memories that you can tell your grandkids about. And when they're adults, they'll come and visit Morocco because of the stories that you told them about Morocco. That's the kind of experiences we do. Those are the itineraries we built. If you're looking for cheap, we're not the most expensive, we're not the cheapest, but we're very fair. Everything that we do is priced the right way. And it's really unfortunate. And now nowadays, even with the internet, with the research, with Google, with YouTube, everything at the tip of our fingers, we still make the wrong decisions. We still make the wrong research, if you would. So it puts us at really disadvantage. And those people, the fake companies or the fake tour operators or agencies, they're never gonna stop. There are victims coming to them day in and day out, every day. But
Mhm.
it's our job, again, just going back to what we mentioned in the last episode. We're here to bring awareness to the travelers, whether they're going to travel with us, whether they're going to travel by themselves or somebody else. So
When you get in or buying those products, it's always not very clear. For example, the details about, okay, accommodations are included, but it's never specifying what types of accommodations or for how many
Pictures.
people the rooms are. Yes.
Yes.
And so it's always missing the small details that after you just, or like, for example, you're going to get a guide to in this gorgeous or in this kasbah, but it never says, oh, that you need to pay for, right? So like air conditioning, people don't mention to it, but if someone asks, they would say, yes, it has air conditioning, but they don't say like it has air conditioning with extra fee, you know, it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
mention to that. And of course, almost of them never give any rotten proofs, like that you are booking a trip with them.
I
You don't
see.
have any IDs about this agency or a name, an
Confirmation.
official name, no, nothing.
Wow.
Some few of them would give you a piece of paper with a date, with the money that you've paid. That's all. It doesn't have any official informations that in case anything happened, there is no responsibility, let's say.
Yes.
So beside and then of the stories and lies, the making trips looks like the best, you know. You're gonna see this, you're gonna see that, and sometimes it's just go further with even completing like lies, talking about a place, about things that you will never see. I just remember one time I was just passing by with a friend in front of one of these, I don't know how to call them. He was in the street, didn't even have an office. He just had like a very big sign with some few pictures. And he was thinking that I was a tourist with my friend and he was inviting us. And then I just stopped and then I was listening to him trying to sell me these trips. And then he said, and then we organized trip to Ibn Haddo Kasbah. I said, oh, that looks nice. Where is that? How far it is? And where it is located? Then he told me, yeah, Ibn Haddo is just in the road between Marrakesh and in Sawira. So I was like, what?
Oh my God. Wow.
That was a shock.
That's
That was a
painful.
shock. Like, what are you saying? So he didn't even know where the Ibn Haddo is located. He was just
Yeah.
selling. He was just selling.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's just a very unprofessional and not organized
You.
tours to whatever day trips to Eureka Valley, the Atlas Mountains, to Essaouira. I mean,
So
you won't imagine a $15 for a full day trip to Essaouira. Would you
15,
believe it?
1-5.
1.5. It's less expensive than a sandwich. It's crazy. What are you talking about?
What you
It's
expect.
yeah. It's
The trip to Essaouira straight away is 3 hours. Okay, this tour takes at least like 4 hours to get to Essaouira because it has several stops. Again, to cafes, to restaurants, to Aragon
Organ.
argan oil.
place.
Yeah.
That's the most. Before it was also used to stop at this famous tree full of goats.
Yeah.
That also was a scam. So yeah, it's just crazy. The same, the road to Eureka Valley, to the
Yeah.
Atlas Mountains is the same, like all the way, like stop, 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 stop. Need to buy this, need to buy that, because this is the real income they are making. They
Yes.
don't care about the
How
stupid
much? Yeah. Yeah.
$15 you're paying. That's not even the cost for the petrol for the van.
Okay. Yeah. It makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay. I really appreciate your insights, Siham. This is very, very informative. Thank you for sharing that information. Now, I know Sam,
Thank you.
you've been impatiently waiting for this because I know you have a
Sorry.
lot to say. But before I ask you any details, any questions, I want to go to the legality of things. If you would please explain the terminology of the names. We're going to
Yeah.
start with transport touristique. Transport touristique,
Yes.
which is transport, obviously it's transportation, touristique, tourism, which is very confusing. So in the US, things are a little different, obviously. And some of those names don't exist. We have transportation, that's what it's called, transportation, ground transportation. So we don't have transportation tourism or any other name. So we'll go, if you can explain to us what does that mean, transport touristique, and also
Yes.
what can a company that it's named or labeled transport touristique do and what it cannot do, please.
They really want to talk about this scam. Okay, tourist transportation, and we call it touristic transportation in Morocco, is a company that is have an agreement from the Ministry of Transportation of Morocco, and it gives you kind of agreements.
Okay. So Sam, so I just want to clarify to the audience so they know people, they're familiar with medallions, taxi medallions, limo medallions, other medallions in terms of transportation. In Morocco is the same. The government gives you a medallion that it's related to your transportation company. That transportation company, it's not a public transportation. They cannot pick up the public. It's a private, but they can only work with travelers. They can only work with tourists. So
Tourist, absolutely, that's right.
okay.
Then this company, the main role of this company is the transportation of tourists from this area to this area, from
Point A to
airport
point B,
to
yeah.
point A to point B. You have like transport them from Marrakesh to Essaouira, or from Marrakesh to Merzouga, or from Marrakesh to the Atlas Mountains, or wherever in Morocco. But the point is they don't have the right to organize tours or day trips or any other activities in Morocco. It's illegal. If you find the touristic or tourist transportation company that is offering any kind of tours or trips or activities in Morocco, this is a scam.
Okay. So basically, what you're saying is transport touristique is not authorized to make any
Absolutely. It's
bookings.
not. Yes, that
Bookings
is
in
not
terms of
authorized. Yes.
hotels, in
Yes.
terms of riads, in terms of restaurants, in terms of
Nothing.
experiences.
Yes.
Okay, okay,
Yes, nothing of that. So their rules is mostly intermediate between the travel agencies, the legal travel agencies, and the legal tour operators to transport their clients or tourists from point A to point B.
okay. So now we're gonna go to. We talked about transport touristic. Now we're gonna talk about tour operators. The difference
Okay.
between tour operators. What is a tour operator in Morocco? What does it mean? Is it tour operator? Is it a DMC? Is it can they organize corporate
Yes.
events? Can they do events? Can they do weddings? What does a tour operator do in
Yes.
Morocco? And how can you get that label or the name of tour operator in Morocco?
Yes. A tour operator in Morocco is an agency or a tour operator that can do many things, including incentive, MICE,
Nice.
and mice, and what is called the flights,
Yeah. Plane. Yeah.
air
Tickets.
tickets,
Yeah.
tickets, flight tickets, and they can organize events. They organize weddings, for example, anniversaries, and so on and stuff. This one we call it tour operator in Morocco,
Okay.
and they have to have authorizations from the Ministry of Tourism, from the Ministry of Artisans and Crafts
Okay.
in Morocco. There is two
Okay.
ministries that are giving them authorizations, and they give them one for a year, which is called
Temporary.
Temporary.
temporary. Yeah, sorry,
Mm.
temporary authorization for a year, and then you have to respect certain rules during this year, or they will take it for you, or they
Okay.
give you one which is definitive.
Okay. So
Definitely
So
one.
basically, what you're saying is before they give you the permanent licenses, they give you a
Yes.
1 year probation to make sure that you're
Yes.
operating within the limits of the two ministries. And then when
That's
a year
right.
passes by, they can make a decision is to give you the final
The final
legal
one.
status or extend your probation to another year.
No, they will.
Or
You have to close forever.
oh wow, okay, out of
Yes.
business. Okay,
Yes.
okay, this is very important. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna talk about the travel agencies, which
Yes.
is the big umbrella, which can do everything that we just talked about. But also, I want to talk about it in terms of time. How much time does it really take to become a travel agency? What are the conditions for you to open a travel agency in Morocco? If you would please, Sam, explain that to
Yes,
us and to
please.
the audience.
Yeah, sure. To open a travel agency in Morocco, you have first to have a diploma, which is a master degrees in tourism. Then you should have a big office. You have to have a meeting room.
Mm.
You have to have certain conditions. Then you have to ask for authorizations from like three ministries,
Oh, wow.
including Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Tourism, and Ministry of Interior,
Mm.
for Interior Affairs in Morocco. when they approved you, you have to put an amount of money in the bank to block this amount of money forever during the lifetime of the agency.
Okay.
It depends. For example, it could be 20 years, 100 years, for example, 200 years. I don't know.
And what's
Depends.
the amount that you need to
Until
block in the bank?
the amount is $50,000.
It's like an insurance. It's a money
Yes.
that stays in. Okay, I got you.
Yes, it's a kind of insurance that you have to put it in a special bank. It's not your bank. It's a special bank like Wall Street Bank in the US. It's called the Bank Al Maghrib in Morocco. And you have to have a certain kind of insurances. And this is very, very important. This kind of insurance, you have to have it. It's liability insurance. You have to have like work accident insurance. I don't know what you call it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you should have another insurance that is protecting travelers, especially when you are doing like trekking in the mountains and
Yes, of
stuff.
course. Yeah.
Then you can have these authorizations for a travel agency, also as a tour operator for 1 year. And then you should have income, certain amount of money, which is $200,000 in a year.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If you don't do that, so at the end of the year, they will come to a commission from the capital, from Rabat, of course. They come from the ministries, and they come to your office together, and you have to give them, to prove them this amount of money that you income it from the travelers, the tourists, real tourists in Morocco. Then they will approve you to have like a final license for a travel agency.
So you get audited, and if you pass the audit, then you'll get your permanent licensing to operate as a travel agency 100%. So the process really, to have a master's degree, that's quite a bit, that's kind of a harsh, really. Versus the US travel agency, it's beyond simple and easy. So, even all these difficulties that the system is set up, that the government has, there's still almost no system operating in Morocco because there's so many illegal people working, legal entities, legal companies. And it's really, really unfortunate because, again, it affects us. And unfortunately, again, a lot of tourists pay the price. So in this case, there's a reason why I wanted to ask you to clearly specify, because I know in the US, there's a lot of travel agents, there's a lot of agencies, there's a lot of people in the travel industry, but they don't know the difference. Here you say travel agency, they think it's the same in Morocco. You go in, you get your DBA, you get your LLC, whatever, you get your accounting set up. Now you're operating travel agency. You can do it on your own, or you can be under a host agency, and it's pretty simple process. Obviously you got to do your homework and pick up your niche, whether it's river cruise, ocean cruise, groups, whatever your niche is. In Morocco, it's very different. You're gonna have a master degree, then you're gonna have that person with that master degree being in the company, managing the company, or being with the company for at least a year, for everything to go smooth and everything to get finally approved by the government. Now, the thing that we all know, that we've seen this literally every day, especially when I've been to Merzouga, we've been to the desert, and I look at websites, not as much as I used to. I looked at 100 of a website. And when I see something interesting in a good way, or in a bad way, I always call you, Sam. And when I call and say, hey, look at this, look at what these people are doing, or look at this, and you look at it and say, oh, I know this guy. This guy is not a travel agency. This guy, he has a camel, and he works in
crazy,
Merzouga.
Everybody calls himself a travel company, a travel agency, a travel company, a travel. Everybody, it's crazy. Sometimes drivers that even don't or doesn't own the car, just driving for someone, just taking a picture in the car, putting on Instagram or on a website, and say, okay, travel company.
Yes,
and
it's
okay. I want to clarify just something here. There is no something called travel company in Morocco. There is these three kinds of companies that is legal in Morocco, and that they have the right as a legal companies to work in the tourism field, to organize this kind of tours or activities or events in Morocco. Otherwise, if someone told you that I am a travel company, there is now something called travel company.
Yeah.
There is travel agency, there is travel tour operator, and there is a transportation company.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Some people are worried to call themselves a travel agency because it's quite big. So they say a travel company because a lot of people, if travelers, don't know the difference.
Yes.
It's a bit quite similar. So they always expect it's a travel agency while they are not really writing this. It's just travel company.
I remember this person when we talked, she told me, look, I went with my friend and we paid $800 for a 10-day tour. And I was like, wow, so $80. She lives in the US. I mean, $80 in the US, including a driver, car and a driver, including, transportation, including a stay at a hotel. So when she finished, she was like, I paid $2,800 at the end of the tour.
Yeah,
So we
I
now,
remember
yeah,
her. Yeah.
going from 800 to 28, she paid $2,000 more because
Yeah.
you want to go to Majorel Garden, it's $250.
Yes.
Okay, we dropped you off. The tour finishes in Marrakesh. You're flying out of Casablanca. Oh, $200 per person. So what they do is they rent motor coaches. They rent a motor coach for $1,000 a day. That's the price for a motor coach. So now they have 50 seats that they can fill at $200 a pop. So they make $60,000 a day, a minimum, just for transportation. They paid $1,000. They're not going to pay any driver because the driver and the bus come same price. There's no gas, there's no expenses, there's no overhead. They're paying the company $1,000, and they're making arrivals and departures, a shuttle service between Casablanca and Marrakesh, because they pick you up from the airport in Casablanca, they drop you off in Marrakesh. Then when it's time for you to go, they pick you up from Marrakesh, then they take you to Casablanca airport. And you've been with them in a tour, and say they took advantage of me. But you know what? I don't want to go with somebody else and scam me even more. I can do $200. I'll do it. I'll take it. You see what I'm saying, Sam? You have anything else you want to add to this subject, please?
Yeah, beside what Siham mentioned before in terms of day trips, and they called them, by the way, a special name, shared group tours. What they're selling in the Jemerfna Square and around in the Old Medina. By the way, it's in the Old Medina of Marrakesh and in Fez as well, and this exists in Merzouga recently. This is the big scam where they just sell you that 1 day trip or 1 day excursion towards that, and the description they gave you, you will see the dunes and the desert, and you will see camels, and you will see no.
How much is it, by the way, Sam?
Much as it is $20.
Oh man.
Could you imagine? Oh, okay. By the way, taking a bus, a public transportation, public bus as we call it in Morocco, or autocar in Morocco, we call them, to take them from Marrakesh to where is that? One way, you pay 200 dirhams, $20, just one way.
Okay.
$20 one way, just to go in a public transportation. So what is about this local transportation? How it comes with $20? You with this is even cheap than a public transportation. Okay, as Siham mentioned, they give you just a ticket, just a piece of paper,
A receipt
with how much you paid, your name. That's it. The departure 7, for example. Let's say 7 forward that. They send you a car to pick up from your location, and they bring you to Jemerfna Square. You get out of this car and you get in the other car. You have to wait there in the other car for 1 hour. Could you imagine? From 7 to 8. Then you have to get out of this car and join another car, another minibus or minivan, and you still there, for example, 20 minutes, and you say, oh, sorry, not this car, because this car has another thing. You have to move to the other car. Then you move to the other car from 7 to 9 or 9:30, 2 hours, and sometimes you didn't have breakfast and you didn't have anything, and you have to wait all this time, wasting your time until you get really upset. Then I give you a driver who is driving very fast, and it's dangerous.
Hold on, Sam, please. So why moving too much? Are you waiting for somebody else to come? Are you waiting for everybody to gather up?
Yeah, sometimes just because they are not organized, there is, as Siham mentioned, there is fake panels or fake signs everywhere, and this one sells
I
the tour
see.
at 8, and this one at 7, and this one at 9 for the same day trip,
Oh
and
wow.
they have to gather people. Then sometimes when they don't have like a minibus 17 seats, for example, they still have 3 left. They should wait for another scammer somewhere to bring them the 3 guests in order
To get
to
the
fill to
minibus
fill
full.
to get the
Oh wow.
minibus full to start the day trip.
So
It's
it's
and
your luck
it's
how many
painful.
people
It's
would do
yeah,
that.
it's painful.
Yeah.
It's painful.
And by the way, I just want to make it more clear. For those type of trips, there is no organization, by the way. There is no one organizing the trip. All the thing is a
No one,
trick. It's a
Yeah.
no
game
one,
between
no one.
many people together. So these people are not a travel agency around. These are, I call them sellers. They are selling whatever they want. They can say you whatever they want. Lies, stories, whatever. Sell you, that's their mission. It's finished, it's done. They won't care about where you are, which hotel, what's the meal. All it's done by taking money, bye bye. They're already working with somebody else.
I totally agree. So we're getting close to the end. So Siham, anything that you want to add or any questions that I should have asked you and I forgot to ask you, please?
Yeah, thank you. I just remember the funny story about the trip, the famous trip I did to the desert. Some of the clients, they were asking about their luggage. So we went to the camp on the camels. So what happened with the luggage? It was on the minibus that we never go to the camp on the camel.
Yeah.
So the guys of the camp suggested and proposed their services as they have a jeep there or a 4x4 car that can cross the dunes, and said, yes, of course we can take your luggage, but you have to pay $20 per person.
Oh my God. Oh
So
my God.
they're paying like
That's so funny.
$50 for the trip for 3 days, and they have to pay a 20, which is the third of the cost to get their luggage from the minibus to the camp. Or otherwise, they're gonna sleep in. It's very cold in the night right there
Yeah.
with no
It's
clothes. And then the total night, it was like I told you before, was like 5 hours.
wow.
Included the sleep, including the dinner and the sleep. And in the very early morning, like, wake up, wake up, wake up. We're going to miss the sunrise. Go, go, go. Sunrise. Then, okay, the van, please, we go. The driver is stressed about the time. And we got in the van. It was a total, I swear, of 14 hours drive. I've never been on that long trip. 14 hours to be in Marrakesh. So, please be careful. That's the last thing I want to say. Please be careful. If you come into Morocco, of course, you want to experience the best of it. The best of it is definitely none of these agencies. Please, if you're buying any tour, just ask this question. You're going to get to know. Please give me your official informations.
Yeah.
They don't have any official.
That's a really good
And
advice.
even a number they don't have, even a name they don't have.
License.
Just
There is
ask,
a license.
yeah, please
There is
give
a
me your
license.
license, give me your professional matricle. They don't
Yes.
have any of these.
Yeah.
Once you pay and take the van, then it's done. The story is done. You're with another person that don't know about any of the promises that you've got with the first in the agency.
Sam, any last words?
Yes, I would just to finish with a story. I remember one of the drivers working in those group tours on the square, on the Chamafna Square, told me once that he went on a tour to Merzouga and he doesn't speak, by the way, any word of English. And there is 2 ladies they want to pee. And they ask him in English, please stop. We need to use a restroom. We need to use a toilet. He didn't understand. At once, he just stopped for a while. I think he wanted to smoke or stuff like that, and he get out of the van, running outside to a real area. Just having to pee.
Oh my God. Oh
It's
my God.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
It's not a joke. It's a really bad experience.
It's a real story. It's not a joke.
Please forgive me. I don't mean to laugh as a joke, but I know it's serious. It's just really sad. and very unfortunate.
Yeah, to pay your money and you didn't get in equivalence the good service, or just a good driver who is respecting the rules while driving, or just speaks at least one word of language, it hurts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And again, when you travel into Morocco, Morocco is a beautiful country. We've talked about this, and you know the love that we have for Morocco, the passion that we have for Morocco. You can sense it in our voices if you're listening to us on a podcast. You can see it in our eyes if you see us on social media or YouTube. We love Morocco. We are all the same. We are ambassadors to Morocco. And you mean a lot to us when you go and visit Morocco. We want to give a good image about Morocco. And there's a lot of amazing people that do an outstanding job promoting Morocco inside and outside. And we're doing the best that we can here. You know, between us, we're talking 7-8 decades of, tourism industry and hospitality. So we really, really care. And the funny part, we talk about scams, and sometimes we are being scammed as well. But when it happens to you, just be very careful. If you're looking for cheap stuff, traveling to Morocco is an investment. Protect your investment.
Yeah, and you deserve to experience the best of it. Why
Yes.
you just to decide to get it that way?
Yes, and yeah. So in today's session, I'm very grateful for your time that you have spent with us, Siham and Salman, and thank you for being such a good guest. And I'm very grateful for you, and I cannot really, really thank you enough. So this is part 2 of the most dangerous
Thanks for you.
scams in Morocco, and we'll come back again for more episodes dedicated just to scam. Obviously, like we said in the past, we cannot really cover all of them, but we'll do our best and give you examples and stories. Hopefully, it'll help you along the way to your journey in Morocco. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful
Thank
day.
you so much. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Esti.
Thank you very much. Pleasure. Big pleasure.
You have traveled the world, but Morocco's allure beckons you. Destination Morocco is here to create the perfect once-in-a-lifetime Moroccan journey, tailored exclusively to your desires. Let us craft an itinerary that unlocks the secrets of this mesmerizing land just for you. For a luxurious, bespoke Moroccan adventure of a lifetime, visit destinationsmorocco.com. That's destinations with an S, Morocco.com. And let us turn your dreams into reality. Your amazing Moroccan experience awaits.